So hopefully you can all see my slides. So this is our Q2 meeting. We've had one other meeting that we had earlier on in the year, which was another virtual. And then whilst I'm on, I'd like to say a big thank you to EY that actually hosted us in person. So we had a fantastic event with Marianne Seghart with her book down at EY, which was fabulous. 40 of you attended that, so thank you very much for coming, and a huge thank you to the team at EY for hosting us. I'll talk to you about the next meeting because again, face-to-face is one of the kind of things of what I want to talk about. So if everyone wouldn't mind, if you can go on mute for now, that'd be fabulous. So let's get going. So first of all, quick update with me. We've got members speed networking. So because obviously we don't have you kind of all together face to face, we're going to put you in rooms, and I'm actually going to give you a task to talk about, but I'll mention that in a second. So you're going to introduce yourself, and there's actually a topic of discussion for today. We've then got a network spotlight with the fabulous T-Not Network at Simmons & Simmons, which is fabulous. And they're going to be talking about some of the work they've been doing in the menopause space. We then have our wonderful Harriet Minter, who's going to keep us informed of the gender headlines you need to know. The reason why we do this is obviously most of you, in fact, probably all of you are running your networks off the side of your desk. So sometimes you miss those big kind of news articles or things that might be of interest. So Harriet's going to bring that all to the table so you don't have to spend time Googling. And then we are very honoured to be joined by the marvellous Vicky Price, Chief Economic Advisor and board member at the Centre for Economics and Business Research. And she's a recent author of a book called Women versus Capitalism. I had the honour of interviewing Vicky on my Instagram recently, so you can go off and watch that interview as well. But we're going to be hearing a keynote, and I hope that all of you are listening enough that you can ask some questions of Vicky towards the end. And then finally, we're going to finish with the fantastic Lean In organisation. So Madeline is joining us from Europe to talk about their free male allyship work programme. So this is something you can download. It's completely free. So kind of keeping on those main topics of what we've been discussing in previous meetings, menopause being a big old ticket item, and we're going to hear what Simmons are doing about that, but also the engagement of men. So it should be a fabulous meeting. So remember, any questions that you want to ask, you can stick them in the chat group. So who's in the room? Obviously, all of these fantastic companies. Very grateful that we've got, the private sector, the public sector. Again, if any of these are your clients and you want to connect, I'm always kind of trying to push people towards having joint events with each other. So do have a look, spot any of your clients, let Leona know, and we will obviously connect you. Just a quick note about kind of some stuff that we're doing before we get going. So we've got Rising Stars. First of all, a huge thank you to any of you who nominated Rising Stars. You would have seen that we announced our winners yesterday. We had a fabulous event last week on the roof of the RBC with 180 women. It was marvellous. So, if you've got winners in your organisation, please make sure that you're on LinkedIn and you're congratulating them. So it was absolutely amazing. So we're going to celebrate them on the 14th of July. Just some other bits and pieces we've got coming up. We've got a big Women in Tech face-to-face hybrid event coming up in December. So I'm looking for some sponsors for that. We're actually going to be asking companies to buy tables for their women. So there's a table of 8, but the condition is they send 6 women and 2 men because we want to get that allyship. So anyone in the tech space wants to find out more about Level Up, then obviously let us know. Tech Women 100, our awards open in July. If you know any fabulous tech women, let us know. And remember, with our awards, we don't just give them the award and disappear. There's a whole heap of partnerships that we have with business schools, with charter management institutes, with schools and things like that we get these winners involved in. So, it's not just an award, it's a development program for a year as well. So keep your eyes out for that. A couple of other things, obviously our She Talks Tech podcast. We're still running the weekly We Are Virtuals. There's a great one with Gisela. I was lucky enough to do a panel with them on accent bias. Not talked about enough, but it's definitely in the room. So, tune into that. It was a fantastic session and one that you guys may want to consider having. We got into very deep dialogue when I did this for Biz. So, definitely one to listen into. And then finally, I'm doing a senior leaders breakfast. This is an invite only breakfast. I've only got 40 spaces. So I am going to offer some out to gender networks, but ideally I want the people to attend are the ones that are working on menopause, that are really pushing it. We're not live streaming it, so it's in one of our hotels. It's the creme de la creme of the menopause space. Everyone from kind of handpicked, and sorry about the image, it looks really blurry on here, the fabulous Pamela Hutchinson from Bloomberg that had kind of a viral post on LinkedIn about her own lived experience. Professor Dame Leslie Regan, she's the chair at Wellbeing of Women, and then the wonderful Sam at Gen M, who's talking to brands about how they kind of, you know, can help the menopause conversation. And then Emma Campbell, if any of you have come across Emma on Instagram, she's a triple diagnosis breast cancer survivor. She was put in induced menopause. She's kind of, you know, she's kind of a big name on Instagram, and she talks a lot about kind of purpose and stuff like that. So she's joining us as well. So fabulous. So that's a little bit about what we've got going on. If you want to get involved with any of that. So what I'm going to now do, I'm going to put you into rooms so you can meet each other. Now, one of the things I want you to do is obviously introduce yourself, where you're from, but I want you to talk about the return to live events. So is it something that you're planning? What have you done? You know, have you had live events? And I'll put this in the chat to remind you, you know, what's the attendance been like? What's your kind of model going forward? And any best practice that you can share. So we're talking about the return to live events. Are we doing it? Is it still going to be hybrid? What's been your experiences so far? And then what I'd really like you to do, as you're talking in your groups, if anyone can put any comments in the chat, but then that way we can share the knowledge throughout the groups. So Leona's going to put you in the chat groups. I'm going to bring you back in about 10 to 15 minutes, but do meet each other and connect with each other on LinkedIn. Do put some comments in the comments box. We were discussing, you know, when we're recording events, you know, are people as open? Are people as authentic, you know, with some of those events? Because obviously things are being recorded. We were talking with Jonas Henderson, who've actually got a networking event for all of their ERGs tomorrow, and they did an in-person event for International Women's Day as well. So it's really good to pop on kind of things you've been doing. I was kind of telling them that I've done a number of speed networking events for quite a number of clients as people coming back in, just getting people back in the room. I did one for Barclays recently, you know, getting people back in the room, getting people back talking and back comfortable in that environment. And actually, I think I've got 4 coming up. But so if anyone's kind of after anything like that, do let me know. It's not just me. There's a number of other people that I can recommend.